what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley. This is Eleanor Oakley. And if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. Most importantly though, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by The Plain Truth, Sleeping Warrior, Jose, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Ole.
What's up?
Hola, ¿qué tal?
Yo.
Please don't do that, Jose.
Yo, yo.
I thought it was beautiful.
So, let's get into the housekeeping, Nathan.
Any signs of curvature?
Absolutely none whatsoever. A lot of atmospheric stuff. Shout out to Ranty for his recent video. Probably his best work so far. No evidence whatsoever of slopey, bendy water.
Did have Tim Osman representing his observation again, looking perfectly flat.
Who?
Tim Osman, so he's got an observation over a lake, and it shows compression as he lowers in altitude, exactly as described by Ranty. It's really cool. I might get Ranty to actually grab that image with him layering it the same as Ranty's done with the various different elevations, and he's labelled off the heights, and just get Ranty to take that exact image, which is great because it's got, it's perfectly flat, obviously, but just with various degrees of compression based on the angle of attack. So it'd be nice to have Ranty go through Tim Osman's observations and point out where his cognitive dissonance lies. There is no curve in any of those images, but the compression that we observe can be explained nice and easily. It doesn't change the fact the water's flat, things like that. But if he sees curve, he's kidding himself. There's no curve. But just thought I'd give that a quick mention.
That's a lovely story, but who's Tim Osman?
Some dude.
Got very girly ankles. We know Tim Osman.
Good afternoon. Did I miss the housekeeping? Or?
No, he didn't. We were just on curvature.
Ah, right. Yeah, there's none of that.
So once the housekeeping's done, someone remind me. I want to talk about porn bombing. A couple of people have been porn bombed in the last few days. I want to give a little bit of advice on how to avoid that from happening. So
Don't watch porn.
well, that would be the bomber, wouldn't it? That advice would be to. So I don't think the bombers care about their porn habits. Maybe they do. Who knows? Anyway, any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No.
Nope.
Oh, by the way, about the porn,
No.
sorry. About the porn bombing. If you're gonna use just the basic Google Hangout setup, a good way to avoid it, if you're gonna throw it in public, is to always keep yourself or somebody you trust presented, so the boxes never get seen. Basically.
Good advice. I will
That
echo
should
that
work.
when I give out my few words of wisdom. So, any evidence of a gas pressure without a container?
Don't be ridiculous. Only a moron would believe that you can have a gas pressure without a container.
Sounds like you're talking from a bathroom. Anthony.
Yeah.
Really? What's going on? I don't get it.
I don't know what you've
not
done,
a
but you've
regular
done
mic.
something to make it very tinny and like a cheap mic.
I might have to do a cold restart.
It's your
I heard-
webcam. It's your webcam mic again.
I
It does
heard
sound-
Timmy Osman get mentioned. And he said that the explanation for the gas pressure without a container is gravity. And boom, shakalaka.
Oh, that's
Well-
cool. Excellent. Well, if I can just get a demonstration of gravity maintaining a gas pressure without a container, I'd love that. You know, all we
You're
seem to get.
breathing the air, Nathan. The reason why it's right there in front of you.
Well, that proves we've got gas pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you can show me that being maintained without a container, then I'll be very grateful. Because all we get here is people asserting their religious belief that that's what the Earth does. They don't ever actually demonstrate gravity maintaining gas pressure without a container. They just assert their religious belief about gravity and what the world does. They don't demonstrate it.
Come on,
Demon-
Nathan. All you need to do is just get in the spacesuit, go in a rocket, and float out in space yourself, and then you know. That's all.
Oh, well, thanks for that. That's really helpful. So, what about a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth? Any evidence of that?
Nope.
Laugh track.
Well, I don't think school are not gonna show lies to the kids, right? It's in the science books. Layered Earth.
Hmm.
Should I take that as a no?
Yeah.
Fair enough. What about the distance to the sun? Anybody shown any evidence of that?
Nope. There is no distance to the sun.
No? About scientific evidence of gravity?
Working on it. There's lots of signs. Yeah, you can't really vary it now, can we?
You're planning on structured science, for gravity, Arwin, like presented in a scientific way.
In a scientific way. Well, I can model it.
Yeah.
Definitely. Could make pictograms. I will do that. It's just not ready yet.
Sounds like the same answer Jose gave for the molten iron core.
Yeah, it's in books. She must be right.
Just get that description down, get some really glossy pictures together, Arwin, and you'll be sorted. You can indoctrinate the masses with your gravity.
Who knows?
What about R values? Any evidence of Earth-based R value? Radius, gentlemen?
Nope.
Our values are plenty, but there's no proof of it.
Shocking. No proof of Earth-based radius. Wow.
No.
I'm amazed.
Or
Okay, cool. That concludes the housekeeping. Alright, now let's talk pornography. So,
what?
well, not exactly, but basically, from what I understand, a couple of YouTube channels who will remain unnamed, unless somebody names them, got porn bombed, and I got a couple of messages about it. One person almost hinted at blaming me, not in the respect that I did it, but that I was promoting one of the people who he suspects did. And it's like, well, no, my debate is open to all. That doesn't mean I'm promoting the people on there or agree with any of their views or actions or have any responsibility for the views or actions. So, no, I'm not going to take any credit for people porn bombing other people's channels. But what I can do is show you a few little tips to stop that from happening. So, the first thing that I will say is that you don't want to display the link. So, as Arwin pointed out earlier, just bring up my webcams. Welcome back, Anthony. So, what I have at present is my camera view fixed on me. So, if anybody joins the Hangout like Anthony just did, the camera view will stay on me at the very least. So, that prevents it going to a massive screen if somebody did come in with pornography. The main problem, so that's an aside, I know Arwin mentioned it, so I might as well just get that in straight away, that you can fix the camera to whoever with this little white box by just clicking on them. But to be perfectly honest, that's really, prevention is better than cure. You shouldn't ever, under any circumstances, ever give out the Hangout key to anybody other than those you trust. So if you're going to have specific guests that you want on your show, just because they're in... It bugs me when people say, do you want to join my show just because I'm watching it? It's like, well, no. I'm eating my dinner, I'm dealing with my kid, I'm not in a position... If you want me on your show, just get in touch. And then, then I'll come on if I can. But people see somebody in their chat, and it's so easy to do what I do, which is just stick the link out, not realising the precautions that I've taken to stop the show being porn bombed. and you live and learn. It's happened to me, so you only get to figure out tricks and hints to do it. The main one being using OBS. So unless you are using OBS, so you can do things like hide the boxes at the bottom, unless you can do things like that, you're always going to be in a position where you're going to be open to showing things. So let's just go through a few of the things that you can actually do. So you've got Cameraman app. Hopefully this will appear on screen enough for people to see it. And one of the things that you can do in here is, second tab down says broadcast the large video that I have to my audience and hide the other video feeds. And what that does, if you click on yes, is what goes out to the audience if this was broadcast, the actual Google Hangouts page, you wouldn't see the boxes. So if you fix the box to you and you hide those boxes in there, all that the audience will get is a large view without boxes at the bottom. So that's one way of stopping people from actually joining and immediately playing pornography and having it displayed to your audience. Fix the camera view to one specific person, probably yourself, and turn it so that you don't have those boxes shown to the audience. Because then when someone joins, you can see them, kick them, no one else gets to see them. There's various other things you can do in the audio settings to stop them being heard as well for broadcasters, but I won't get into those now. But I will reiterate that you shouldn't give your Hangout key to anybody unless you trust them. And by putting it out in the public feed, like I'm about to do now, what you're essentially doing is saying, I trust every person in this audience. Now here, I don't trust anybody in the audience, hence I've taken the kind of precautions I have, so that if someone does actually click the link and join, I can manage them. They don't get the opportunity to put their screen on to my public view as soon as they join. They try and get around my measures all the time, but so far they're unsuccessful in doing so. And it's as simple as click on the box that's you, and then nobody will get to see anything other than what you've got presented, which is just by left clicking the box that is your box, or someone else if they're screen sharing. And then you won't be presenting anything other than what you choose to present. The next thing is, when somebody actually presents their screen, make sure that, notwithstanding that you've already got it on yourself fixed view with this box, if that's the case, when someone shares their screen, you then have to physically click on them to present them to the audience. So rather than having it where it's unhighlighted and then the audio will trick whoever's presenting, somebody, let's say Sleeping Warrior, could put up his whole screen, including the Hangout key, then talk, then it would go out to the audience. Now, the way you get around that is by turning off DVR. So in the settings for your Hangout, you can go in and change various different latency settings. Now, the lowest latency will turn off by default DVR, which means you can't rewind the stream. So if by chance somebody happens to display the Hangout key, unless somebody in the audience is quick enough to immediately screen cap it there and then, they can't rewind, pause your stream, and go and grab the Hangout key by just copying it pencil and paper down, because obviously you can't cut and paste on a live stream picture. You just have to write it down, which is what Tim Osmond does to get into people's Hangouts. They'll display it, he'll write it down because they've got their DVR enabled, and you can just rewind, pause, and write it down. So that's the other thing. Don't display the Hangout key. That's the most likely way people get caught. That and giving it out to somebody untrustworthy, or more likely just sticking it in the chat, which is absolutely bananas. If you're running it on Google, don't ever give the Hangout key to anybody other than those you trust, because then you're pretty much covered. Nobody can get in and play porn. If you've given it to the audience, then you're stupid. Then that's your own fault, because you've given it to everybody and said, I trust you all to come on my Hangout, which this is not. What you're seeing is a Hangout that's not broadcasting. OBS is broadcasting through YouTube for me, which is why I can get away with giving out the Hangout key and controlling what's actually put on screen. So don't give the Hangout key out. Avoid putting it on screen. More likely your guests putting it on screen, by managing what's actually clicked. Actually click who you want to keep. That's the best advice I can give anybody who's using a Google Plus Hangout on air screen, to prevent them getting porn bombed. So I'll go through them once more. In the Cameraman app, go to broadcast my large view and click yes, so that it only shows what's on screen and not the boxes at the bottom. It's no big sacrifice to lose those. Click on your icon so it's not fed by voice, and then present people by actually clicking on them. And last but not least, don't try and avoid letting your guests display the Hangout key by, when they present, actually selecting them. And that's pretty much it. That should be enough to stop you getting porn bombed if you're a relatively new YouTuber and tempted to just give out the Hangout key because you see people like me doing it. Just don't. Just don't. Anyway, sorry for the lecture.
Appreciate it, Nathan. Thank you. And I know many people want to do live hangouts and live shows, and they will take these tips, and tricks and utilize them in their favor. And I think if anybody wants any little advice or something, they can communicate with the experts in OBS. Nathan is an expert. I think you're not gonna deny anybody from anywhere. Say, hey, Nathan, I got a little question. What option do I do in this? I heard Timmy Osman offer his knowledge on OBS, which he's very knowledgeable. He said, I don't care who you are. If you need me, just holler at me. And one or two other people. So if you need any helping, anything, just leave the flatter bullshit aside and talk to these guys and tell them like, hey, you know what? I need you to hook me up with this setup or whatever. So thank you. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't trust Tim Osman as far as I could throw him. So when I was trying to resolve a problem, the advice he was trying to give me would have left me with a much bigger problem, which would have left him chuckling and given him a route into the Hangout through the back door and various other things. So don't trust Tim Osman. However, there's people like Helioskeptic who did ask various bits and bobs of advice. Same goes for Martin Liebke. They've both asked for bits and bobs of advice. Don't get me wrong, they've pretty much figured it out by themselves. But yeah, it's nice to know that there are people out there like Helioskeptic or myself, or indeed Martin, who's a dab hand at it now. You can just say, yeah, here you go, here's a bit of advice on how to do it. It's not as complicated as you may think.
And one of the person more knowledgeable on this subject, at least for setup on how to make the screen look really good when you do hangouts and stuff, Hori the cheat show. He's a good guy for learning stuff,
Hello.
Ah, I can hear you. Your mic's back to normal. Riley?
He's got a mic issue.
Hello.
He dropped his mic in the toilet. Oh, no, you're good.
No, he's working now. Well done.
I don't know what's going on. I've not
Sounds
changed anything.
beautiful.
It's just
No, that's
not working
perfect.
properly.
Good volume. Sound great.
Yay.
Hooray! Missed all
I've
the
got a flat
housekeeping.
smacking story to share.
Oh, excellent. Let's hear it.
I did a little bit of preaching yesterday. It was excellent. One of the jobs I had to do yesterday, I had loads of little jobs to do, but it was real world, so I had to do it, and I didn't get back in time for the show. I only caught the second half of the second show. But one of the tasks I had to do was take my father and two of his new friends. Well, I say new friends, but two of his friends that I'm not familiar with, over to Manchester Airport whilst they disappeared off to America.
Hey, mate, four.
Do you want to just introduce Make 4?
Hello. Hey. What's up?
I'm sorry, guys, but I have to denounce my religion as an FE.
What?
Nobody
It's
cares.
true.
That's great. Anyway, carry on, Anthony. Good to have you, mate, four.
So, because my dad's an ex-police officer, he was going to the Institute of Retired Police Officers or something like that. Every year they have a conference in the UK and then one in the US. And if you go from one to the other, you're treated like a VIP. They don't pay for your flights, but they do give you all the accommodation, food, and drink, and anything that you like. All your amenities are all paid for, and you're treated like a VIP. You've got to go in your tunic and all that kind of stuff, and because they love it. The American police love the British police love the American police, and they always bring like actual policemen's helmets and truncheons and stuff like that. Like from bygone times. So it's great nostalgia, if nothing more. And
Sorry to interrupt.
in the car on the way there.
Sorry. Massive shout out to the Mind of God for the super chat. Sorry, you carry on.
In the car on the way to the airport, obviously there's like 3 adults plus me, that makes 4, and a load of cases for like 2 weeks because they're away for 2 weeks. And my dad's like ex-police, right? Obviously. So that brings with it the expectation that a cop's got some element of discernment with regards to evidence. So because he was in the company of his friends, he tried to like fire bullets my way, and he kind of like comically or patronizingly, maybe condescendingly, says to me, "You're not still into that flat Earth nonsense, are you, son?" And I was like, "Oh, firing bullets, are you, Dad?" So I attacked back in front of his mates, and I just literally destroyed him in front of his mates, and he probably didn't even realize it, but his mates definitely did, right? And I didn't know these people, and basically these two guys, these people that were sat on the back seats were listening intently, and I started to tell him about stuff that I knew that he could relate to. So my dad's an ex-police officer, but he was trained in the RAF as a heavy goods vehicle fitter, so he's familiar with trucks and airbags on suspension units and all that. And I was trying to tell him about how the gas pressure that we live in at 14 psi exists next to the vacuum of space, and there's no membrane. And he was like, right. And I said, how's that explained? And he went, probably gravity. I said, right, okay, no problem. I said, but what about the pressure that we have in the first place? I said, if gravity is as strong as what it needs to be to hold all that atmospheric weight on, I said, then yeah, sure, that would make sense. But we have the pressure in the first place. So regardless of whether or not it tapers off into space, how is that explained? And he said, well, can you not see that that's gravity? I said, yeah, it's a lovely story. How do you prove it? And he went, what do you mean? I said, how do you prove it? How do you prove gravity? And then he says, just pick something up and drop it. And then I started talking to him about density and obviously buoyancy, and we had the conversation with my dad. But anyway, bottom line was, these two in the back were listening intently because my dad was in the front with me, and we're all talking away. And it was like a scene out of... imagine watching, from their perspective, it was like watching two puppets arguing with each other because they had a little window, which was the gap between the two chairs. And they were watching me and my dad sparring with each other, giving each other attacks and like basically attacking each other. And he basically tried to ridicule me. And I just said, well, you're the one that's foolish because you believe that there's something there, which that sounds lovely, but you can't prove. And he didn't know the Cavendish experiment. He's obviously not into the conversation that much. But even if he did know it, I know how to deal with the Cavendish experiment. But I knew that he didn't know it. But I also cornered him because if he doesn't know Cavendish as the main retort, then he's got nothing. And that's what I did. Put him in the corner and I battered him. And these people in the back afterwards, when we get out to the airport, the guy says to me, one of the guys says to me, he says, do you know, he says, I've been thinking about this kind of stuff for ages. And he said, and I didn't know that people actually thought like you did. And I said, loads of people think like I do. And basically, he was thanking me for talking to my dad the way I did, like the way I spoke to him, not in a rude way, but put him in the corner way. So for anybody that criticizes me for being a bit unfair with certain people, I did it to my own dad yesterday. So shout out to my dad. He got pummeled in the corner in the car on the way to the airport, but nonetheless, he gave up a good, warrior style fight, claiming gravity and all that, not realizing that he can't prove it. So shout out to my dad.
Cavendish is not an experiment.
The sky clearly points to a globe, guys.
On what basis?
How so?
On a lot of bases. It just points to a globe. Come on now.
Sorry,
Okay.
The sky is always above me. If I travel a couple of thousand miles that way, then it's still above me.
If you look at the sunrise and sunset angles, you can tell that it's a globe tilted.
Sorry, what's the sun?
A light in the sky.
So if we look at that light in the sky, what's the next bit?
You look at it when it rises and when it sets and where it is in relation to north, south, east, west, and you'll see that it curves over you. So how does that work on a flat Earth?
Well, what's your assertion? Who cares? You're the one making a claim here. So what does that prove? What's your claim?
Proves that it arcs over and curves over from southeast to southwest and northeast to northwest, depending on where you're at.
I agree.
So how does the flat Earth sun work? Does it do little wobbles to do that curve?
Hold on. Why are you asking me? This is your claim. Who cares?
Okay, so how many suns do you have on a flat Earth? Because you'd need multiple suns for everyone to see it rise in the southeast, southwest.
Would you? We do live on a flat plane,
Yes.
and we do observe the sun.
What about shadows?
They're cast.
Hold on.
Southern hemisphere shadows.
What about
hemisphere
shadows? Okay. What
And then
about
if-
bricks? Bricks prove a flat Earth. What about bricks?
What about bricks?
What
Bricks
about
move.
shadows? You're the one making the claim. So what about shadows?
Shadows in the southern hemisphere will point south at
Southern
midday,
hemisphere?
and in the northern hemisphere, point
Hemisphere?
north.
What's this hemisphere that we're now talking about? Are you assuming you've already proved that we're on a globe and we're now talking about being on it? Hemisphere means we're already on a globe.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're automatically assuming that you're on a globe for these shadows then?
Yeah, because if you get the angles
Why?
of them and then like.
Oh, right.
match
I'm
them
not
up in
going to
the sky
assume I'm
where
on a
you want
globe.
to,
And they still work. The shadows do the same thing without assuming I'm on a globe. Surprising that.
But they don't. If you do multiple shadows.
So they do. I
for
go
multiple
outside,
people.
and without assuming I'm on a globe, they do the same thing they always do. For you and for me, the shadows do the same
They
thing.
don't.
I don't
They
have
don't,
to
though.
assume. I don't have to assume that those stars we talked about at the beginning of this conversation are currently under my arse. I don't need to assume that. They're still above me when I go over there. But if you want to tell me that I must now assume that they're under my arse, then I'll say no. I don't need to assume that. Don't force it on us. You can assume it.
I'm not forcing on it. I've had flat Earth stuff forced on me for a little while, and it's not good. It confuses the mind.
I haven't forced anything on you. I've made no assertions so far.
Just people pushing it on the internet. I don't know if it's a good thing anymore.
Pushing what? The obvious observable nature of our reality and telling people they don't need to automatically, as you have done, assume they're on a sphere for everything they observe.
If you get the shadows and then you can figure out the direction of where the sun is coming from, and you do that with multiple people all over the globe, you'll see that the shadows and the
All
sun
over the globe.
angle
Sorry.
is directly
Again,
parallel
you've done it
to
again.
the globe.
All over the globe. So we're going to do this observation all over the globe. So before we've even done a damn thing, we're already on a globe, right?
Because I know it's because I've done it and
Because you're begging
I
the
thought
question.
it was flat.
Yeah,
I used
what
to
you're
think it was
doing
flat, and
is
now
begging
Sad,
the
Nick,
question.
Very
We've not
sad.
made any
it's very
observations
sad.
yet.
It is.
None of
For
us
you.
have done what you've suggested. But before we've done it, you're saying we need to do this on a globe. So before we've done anything, we're going to be assuming we're on a globe, according to you.
I did it assuming I was on a flat plane, though.
Sorry, what? You don't need to make any assumptions if you're on a flat plane. That's how we observe the world.
But you get the angle of where you're looking at that sun and where it comes from, and then
But
you
it's
like
a-
match.
that's
Sorry,
a heavenly body.
what's the
That's
sun
not
again?
The Earth.
Light in the sky.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
light in the sky, and you get the angle of where it comes from, and then you'll see that it points parallel off
But
the
it's
plane
a
or
light.
globe,
It's
whatever
not
it
an
is.
object that's physically anywhere.
So what? So, yeah, okay. And what does that
So it
prove?
points to a very distant sun and a large sun.
Does it?
Yes.
Why?
Because if you line up the angles of the shadows and you see where the sun's coming from, and then you match them up from all the intakes that you get from people doing it all, then it points to a parallel
Yeah.
light.
That mathematics will require an R value to put that sun very distant.
No, it doesn't actually. It doesn't.
Oh, really? Bring up
You
the
don't
maths. Sorry. Bring up the maths. Show me.
You don't need maths. You just
You've just made an
get that.
assertion that you can add up the angles. So what do you mean I don't need maths? What, I can just ignore the bit you don't understand in your own nonsense example? Yeah, bring up the
You put the
maths.
stick-
Bring up the maths
stick
so I
in-
can show you the R value that'll be assumed and ram it up
Stick in
your
the
arse.
ground.
Amazing.
Stick in the
You
ground,
will
and then you
assume an
look where it's
R
coming from.
value
You'll figure
when
it.
measuring these shadows. If you don't know that you'll be assuming the R value, then I'm telling you, you will. You've said it's going to be a distant sun. It will assume an
you
R
don't
value.
need an R value. You just get like the angle of where that shadow is coming from, and then that points to the sun because that's where how the shadow works.
Dude, what happened to you? This is all stuff
I've
we
gone
talked
back.
about every day like a year ago.
I know, but it
Did
doesn't
you like
work.
have an amnesia attack or something?
To
I
be
did.
fair,
What's
I
going
did
on?
know how I feel about Arwen at times because Arwen's doing the exact same thing what this guy does.
No, I've gone back to the globe. I'm sorry, but it
Mate,
works.
let me ask you a
It's
question.
insane.
Okay.
You're bringing out
Hold on.
like
let me just round
very
out then.
old
No problem.
arguments.
In R you trust.
Okay, but it does. There's lots of things that point to the globe, not just shadows. You can do the sunrise sunset thing that
Yeah,
points to a
sorry.
tilted globe.
Sorry, you're either ignorant of what I just said or didn't listen. So when you say shadows, I'll say it again. You will assume an R value to put that distant sun
No.
distant.
No. You don't
Right.
need R to do the shadow
Do
thing.
you want to go and
just get
show me the
angle of
mathematics
sun.
that are done with these shadows, please?
You get the direction where the
No,
sun's
don't
coming
tell
from
me.
by
Show
where...
me the mathematical formula, not scientific evidence. Show me the
There's
mathematical
no formula.
so
You don't
I
even
can
need
show
a
you
formula
where the...
to do this.
Yeah, there
Are
is.
you going to talk over
No,
me?
you don't.
You don't need to tell me again. We've all heard your assertion, as have over 200 people. Now I need you to show me the mathematics so I can show you that R value.
There's no R value, and you don't even need a
assert it.
formula.
Show us the
There
mathematics.
is no R.
Hang
Sacrilege.
on, hang on. He's saying you don't need
You
mathematics.
just said there is no R.
How are you going to do this without mathematics, please?
Okay, you need a little bit of geometry, but you just all it is
All right,
getting
let's,
that.
let's
angle
go through the geometry step by step. You start with a measurement. What's the
stick
measurement
it in
you're
the
measuring?
ground. Stick in the ground. You make a little triangle from where the shadow comes out. So
All
your
right.
stick is one side of the triangle, and then the shadow is another side of the triangle.
Right.
And then you match that up to the top of the stick, and then that angle there will be pointing directly at the sun.
When it's at high noon.
What's next? So what's next?
No. Well, yeah, high noon. Okay, you can do it because in the southern hemisphere at high noon, the shadow still points south.
Southern Hemisphere. How many times have we got to do this?
In
So
the
before
in the
we're
south.
hold on. So before we've done anything, you're automatically assuming you're on the southern hemisphere, bottom of a
South.
sphere.
We can say south
So
then.
no. It's all right. We'll drag you kicking and screaming through this till you understand that you're begging the question. Assuming your outcome, you're already on a hemisphere, aren't you, sunshine?
All right, let's go with south, and we're on a plane then.
Well, hang on. Let's just go back to the maths. We've got an angle, and we've got what are the other components for the maths, the trig or the geometry that you're claiming for? So talk us back through this.
People all over the plane get their little shadows,
Yeah.
and they get the angle that from where the sun is pointing, and then you draw a line straight up into the sky and see where those lines match.
Right. So what have we just measured then? Have we measured one of the angles?
We've measured a little triangle out of a stick and a shadow.
All right. So let's talk about this little triangle. What is the input values that we put into the geometry to get the output? Are we talking about an angle, two angles, a straight line? What are we talking about?
We're talking about 3 angles because it's a triangle.
3 angles won't give you a distance on it. It'll give you a scale.
I'm not looking for your shadow, you can measure the shadow on the ground and you can measure your stick.
Right. So what are the values that we're going to use in the trig to give us the distant sun? Come on, tell me the trig. What is it we're putting in? Are we putting in
don't even
the
need
angles?
trig. You don't. Let's say you draw a line on a piece of paper, and that's your flat plane, right?
Okay.
And then on that line, you draw lots of little lines and perpendicular, and they're all your sticks in the ground. Okay.
Right.
And then you get your shadow from those sticks, and you draw triangles with each one of those sticks, and you see where those angles point to.
And what distance will that come out to, do you think?
It comes out to not pointing directly at a close sun. If the sun is close, they don't point to the same point.
What do you call close?
I don't know, 5,000 kilometers.
Right.
And
that
what
would
do you
be
call the
exactly
same
what you've got.
point?
If you did your measurement, that's precisely what you get the sun to. Not that the sun is something measurable, it's an apparent thing in the sky that you can't triangulate, like a rainbow. But if you were to, you could do it as you suggested, and you'd get it to about 5,000 kilometers.
No, they don't match up. When you draw the lines from the triangle, they don't match up in the sky to one point.
Yeah, but they're within an area of a reasonable error on the basis that not everybody's going to read the measurement accurately, right? And a little tiny adjustment either way will make a big difference to where that sun's going to be, even when the sun's close.
Hold on. If you're saying that they're not matching with the sun and you can't position it correctly on the sun, it makes sod all difference whether or not you assume a sphere, which is the bit we're going to get to next. Because so far, what you've done is measured the sun at about 5,000 K.
Well, no. The 5,000 K is an assumption.
No, you've just measured it. What you've just done, based on the angles you've got on a flat plane, gives you a sun about 5,000 K in the air.
But more than one. All of the angles won't meet directly at that 5,000 K point. Some are way off.
So that makes sod all difference what your worldview is about sphere or flat. If you're saying you
So
just
then when-
can't measure the sun accurately, well, bravo, we would assert the same thing. So you're saying this measuring the sun with angles is pointless because you can't really triangulate it? Is that what you're saying?
But
This is a
then what you
pointless
do
example.
is you get your line that you've drawn all your little sticks in, and you've curved that line into a sphere.
Oh,
and then-
so we presuppose we're on a sphere to push the distance out. So you do need R, like I asserted.
No,
Oh, well, you've just said you
Well-
make it a sphere, so you do.
you wouldn't have to. You don't have to
Well, you
even
just
use
said
R.
you
You just
did.
keep going until
Well,
they're parallel.
Well, if you
and you'll
don't,
see,
you've got a 5,000K high sun like you asserted we hadn't got. It was very far away,
You'll-
and it didn't get far
you'll see-
away until you assumed R.
and then you'll see a certain point when they all go parallel.
Sorry, so you are going to assume R as I asserted then?
No, you could just curve the line until they all
Yeah,
go
that
parallel.
would be
and
assuming
go
R,
round.
Dumbo. That's assuming
yeah.
R.
But you could
Not,
like,
but
you could just,
yes. So you are assuming R.
No, he's doing it by the conclusion.
Who's talking
because
to
the
you?
data
Excuse me.
contradicts the
Who was
flat Earth.
talking to you?
The
So
observation
you-
he described
excuse me,
contradicts the flat
Nobody
Earth.
was talking to you.
Yeah, well, I was being helpful.
No, you're not being helpful. This
I
guy
am, I'm
will be
contradicting your
curving the
point.
ground like you did when measuring Mars, right? Assuming radius.
No, you don't assume anything.
Oh, do I
you
need
can
to
just
go and
curve
play
it,
that
and
little clip?
eventually they'll go parallel, and maybe
Hold
that's
on,
the radius.
Rumpus. Let's just hear you say that again.
You build upon existing human knowledge, and you use that just like in every scientific paper. You use things that are known and been proved and verified by other people, and you incorporate that into whatever you're researching. If you happen to be researching the shape of the Earth, then you would indeed determine R. But if you don't, that's not your object. You're going to use the value that's been determined and verified, peer-reviewed by other people.
So to put it another way, you'll assume R.
You assume the body of human knowledge is correct.
No, you'll just assume R, like I keep asserting. Now, are you going to deny that you assume R, in which case I'll dig out that video clip where you basically confirm exactly that? Or are you going to confirm that you will assume R?
You use existing knowledge, so you don't assume. It's not been assumed. It's
Yeah, it
been.
is. You don't have any scientific evidence for Earth radius.
Well,
You
we
don't
do
have to
actually.
prove
Did you say?
everything. You don't have to prove everything in a paper. Like
Oh, right. So you can just assume it.
no, you
So if you haven't got proof for it, you will just assume it.
use the existing verified.
I don't want to hear the
knowledge
same
and
shit
apply
again.
it.
I'm sick of it. If you're denying it,
Garrett?
I'll dig out that video and I'll play you saying, yes, we must assume it.
Well,
Hello,
Hey,
Event
you-
Horizon. How you doing?
it's not an assumed value. You do use
It's not
the
an
value
assumed
that
value.
has been.
Right, let's close this down. There will be silence while I dig out that quote. Sorry to the other participants. So you're measuring an angle, and the value that you actually use in this mathematics is not the angle you measured, correct?
You have some trigonometry to do and some.
I'll say it again, fifth time.
You use the angle you measure, you idiot,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
you
you use
get
the
really
trigonometry
angry,
to
Andy.
use it as a
Shout
way
at me,
to get the
Rumpus.
right answer. It's very
Sorry,
simple.
you shout at me. Go on, shout at me a bit more. Get annoyed about
Well,
this.
you're an idiot. Stop being an idiot.
So you haven't given me an answer.
You're getting all
So
tetchy
the
first.
angle now on the mathematics will be an angle that is not the measured angle that you took when making the
Use
observation.
the measured angle. But you have to. There are some calculations you have to do, and obviously you have to manipulate them. You have to get this distance right, for instance. So
you manipulate the angle. So therefore, you are going to manipulate this
nothing's
angle
changed.
that
It's like saying
you have measured. So you're going to measure it and then manipulate it. Correct?
you don't manipulate anything. It's like saying an
You seem
equation.
to be going very high pitched. So you are going to manipulate the angle that you have
You're not going to
measured.
manipulate anything. No.
So why have you put this
Put
curve
it
in?
into the trick. You put it.
Sorry,
in because,
why have you put the curve in then? What's this curve that you've put in?
Because you know that the distances between the objects are on a curve, and therefore you
Sorry, so because you presuppose we're on a curve
no,
using an
well,
R value.
remember,
Why are
this
you rumpusing me,
calculation-
Rumpus? Why are you rumpusing me? Is this frustrating and annoying that it doesn't
not-
meet
well,
the
you're an
standards of
idiot,
your
obviously,
religious
that's annoying.
faith? So based on your religious faith in a sphere, you're going to change the angle that you actually measured to bring it in line with the sphere.
Well, you're going to presume you're on a sphere, yeah.
Right. Measured to bring it in line with the sphere.
Well, you're going to presume you're on a sphere, yeah.
Measured to bring it in line with the sphere.
Well, you're going to presume you're on a sphere, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So we're going to
I think
presume
that's where
we're on
I'll
a
end this.
sphere.
Okay, Rumpus?
That's fine. Yes, that's absolutely fine.
What do you mean it's fine? No, it's
great.
not fine. We're not going to be presuming anything, you complete
It's
idiot.
not presumed.
You
presume it
can
in an
presume
individual
whatever
paper,
you
but the
like, you
value is
religious
not
zealot.
presumed.
I won't be presuming anything here.
The
You
value
can
is not
presume
presumed.
R somewhere else. You don't get to
value
beg
is
the
not
question
presumed.
here.
The value is not presumed, it's calculated, and then you use that information.
Sorry, let's just play the clip again. Recording. Thank you very much. Angle that you actually measured to bring it in line with the sphere.
Well, you're going to presume you're on a sphere, yeah.
Angle that you actually measured to bring it in line with the sphere.
Well, you're going to presume you're on a sphere, yeah.
Angle that you actually measured to bring it in line with the sphere.
Well, you're going to presume you're on a sphere, yeah.
Right. Okie dokie then. So
That's fine.
you will be presuming you're on a sphere because you're a religious zealot.
No, it's been calculated.
Yeah, stutter away, moron. You will assume you're on a sphere because you're a religious zealot with a space religion.
Calculated. It's a
I don't care what you can
observed.
calculate.
It's been verified.
I don't care. You haven't verified anything.
It's been verified.
No, it hasn't.
Peer reviewed.
No, it hasn't. I don't care about peer review and what you call verification and your calculations. It's not been proven. You're going to assume it. That's all you can do. Do you need me to play it 3 more times when you confessed last time that you're going to presume it?
You don't have to keep on recalculating in every paper that you
Not
ever produce on
recalculating.
the subject.
Presuming.
You build on existing human knowledge, Nathan. It's quite simple.
You build on human knowledge that's existing, do you? Let's play it again. Right. Religious faith in a sphere, you're going to change the angle that you actually measured to bring it in line with the sphere.
Well, you're going to presume you're on a sphere, yeah.
Sphere.
Well, you're going to presume you're on a sphere, yeah.
Right. Sphere.
Well, you're going to presume you're on a sphere, yeah. Well, you're going to presume you're on a sphere, yeah.
Right.
Well, you're going to presume you're on a sphere, yeah.
Right.
Well, you're going to presume you're on a sphere, yeah. Use
Right.
the existing body
Excellent.
of knowledge.
Excuse me, it's not the
Use
body
the
of
existing
knowledge,
body of
it's a
knowledge.
presumption. You
You
presumptive
use a calculated
idiot.
value, and in your new paper, if you're going to
You stuttering little idiot. Yeah? You've just got a presumption and a space religion. That's all you've got, you
use
pathetic
existing
little
knowledge,
man.
'cause it's been
Space
proved,
religion. A presumption.
measured,
That's all you've got.
verified, peer-reviewed, observed, and calculated.
So let's play it again. Every time he says it's been peer reviewed and calculated, I'll just play his own words back to him.
Well, you're going to presume you're on a sphere, yeah.
Did you hear that,
It has
dickhead?
been calculated.
Calculated. Let's just play it again. Yeah.
Well, you're going to presume you're on a sphere, yeah.
What happens? You see what happens when this is on a flat plane? I'm sharing my screen right now.
Yeah, I've got it too, actually, Afe, or whoever it is that's doing. I've got the same diagram which shows that if you have 3 observations of the sun, it doesn't work. It invalidates the flat Earth.
I've
Nah,
got
that's
23
nonsense.
here. This is 23 observations.
Physical literalism.
Yeah,
You're all presuming it's in a literal position.
It
It's
contradicts
right.
it.
You don't have proof of any
It does. It
literal
contradicts.
location.
Arwin, it contradicts.
You have no proof.
It does.
Yeah, he's got no proof, Alwyn. We all know. He's chasing rainbows. Rumpus will tell the audience that he can find a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow because he thinks you can triangulate things that are basically only apparent in their position.
The observations invalidate the flat Earth.
Sorry, so you're going to beg the question and assume you're on a sphere. That's all you've got for your sphere religion, a presumption that you're on a sphere. And you're going to tell me that you've got things that invalidate the obvious and observable nature of our reality, your starting point before you introduce an R value. You're going to tell me that the starting point before you beg the question and introduce R, that's invalid. No, it's your starting point before you beg the question and assume R. So, no, you're not going to tell me that's invalid.
Our starting point in this diagram is a flat plane.
Right, your starting point's a flat plane. So don't tell me a flat plane don't work, because you have to start with a flat plane and then introduce your holy R value. Radius Dominus, Gravitas Spiritus Sanctus, Arwin.
You do
Go
wonder. I
in
mean, the fact he's
peace,
trying to sabotage his
Globeheads.
explanation.
He knows
you
the Earth's
trust?
round.
No, you're doing a pretty good
Rumpus,
sabotage.
Rumpus,
He
No,
knows.
argument,
Rumpus, stop arguing with him. He knows the Earth's round, and he knows you have to
He's
presume.
certainly frightened of this explanation. I
He
certainly agree
knows
with
the
that.
Earth's round, and he knows you have to presume. It's pointless arguing with him.
He knows the world's round, and he knows you have to presume it. No, dickhead, you don't have to presume R. Your starting point's a flat plane, and then you've got nothing but the presumption of a globe Earth to go by. So you'll introduce your little R value, bow down and worship it, and assume it because you're a globehead.
You just assume
I've
the things
I've
you
made a
have to
flat
choose,
Earth
like 1
model.
plus 1 is equal to 2.
Assume that 1 plus 1 is 2 and the Earth is a sphere. No, I don't have to assume that the Earth is a sphere just because you tell me that it's equivalent to 1 plus 1 equals 2. No, the Earth is not a sphere. The Earth's a flat plane, and all that you change compared to your actual observations is an introduction of an R value that you will presume. That's all you've got. The presumption of an R
No,
value.
Rumpus, you're stupid for arguing with him because he knows it's
Could be
round.
right. Yeah, you might be right there. Yeah.
Rumpus,
I mean-
you're wasting your time. He knows it's round. He's
That's
just trolling the
ridiculous.
life
You
out
might
of
be
you.
right. You might
What's
be
wrong
right.
with you, man?
Trust me. You
What's
know
wrong with you?
Any person with half a brain knows you have to presume it's flat or have to presume it's round. You can do
No,
both.
that's true.
And
Yeah.
he's
No,
not-
you drop
There is no presumption. You start with a flat plane, and then you introduce an R value. So your starting point is the obvious and observable nature of our reality. Then you start talking about distant suns because you
Any
introduce an R
person
value.
with half a brain already knows that you have to presume it. So Rumpus, don't waste your time with the fool. He knows it's round.
Anybody with half
No.
the brain.
We
That's
see it
brilliant.
because it's there.
Building.
Doesn't
We
matter.
don't have to presume anything. We
Building.
only have to presume that what
Building.
we see is there.
Building. Listen.
We have to presume that what
You
we
don't know what
see
you're talking about.
is
You don't know what
actually
you're talking
there.
about. You're a bunch of idiots.
That's the far grasp
bunch of
idea
idiots.
about it.
We assume a flat
You're
plane.
pretenders, liars. You're a liar.
That
You're a
what we
pretender.
see
You
is
know.
actually there.
Time,
Pretending.
please.
You're just
You've got
pretending.
position
You know
diagram,
it's
right?
round.
One at
You
a
know it's
time.
round. Stop lying to people. Stop lying to people.
Yeah, pretty much, because like it's very confusing, and you can confuse people.
That was just a mess.
Well,
Thanks,
Arwen
Mike.
doesn't seem to understand we've got observations that contradict the flat Earth. If you assume a flat Earth and you take observations to the moon, then it
Yeah, but
contradicts.
you said that.
That's a heavenly body. That has nothing to do with
Hang on a
Earth. Earth observations.
Just hang on a
See,
sec.
the only thing we have to presume is that what we see is actually there. That's the very far grasp
Arwen,
concept
if
that
you-
we base our presupposition on.
Arwen, if you take 3 sightings of the sun or the moon, they will not work on a flat plane. They'll only work on a sphere. As my diagram
We
here
have
shows.
no proof
And
they
as-
are anything
I-
other than lights at an apparent
Yes, and those lights
position
are
in
not
relation
right
to the
position.
observer
Arwen,
with
they're not in the
relations to
Arwen,
He's
please
not
don't
listening
finish.
to you,
angle
Arwen.
and the
Yeah,
position on the
Rumpus.
Earth.
Rumpus,
if you
Arwen's
take
trying to make a
3
point.
observations of the sun,
Rumpus,
it won't
Arwen's
work
trying to
on
make a
flat
point and
plane.
you're rumpusing him. Last chance. He gets to make his point whether you like it or not.
Sorry, you're talking to me.
Yeah, shut up and listen to Arwen's point. Don't talk over every single word he
Okay,
says.
Arwen, go ahead.
Look, all these heavenly bodies, you have no proof they are anything other than just light phenomena.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, that does matter.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
Rumpus,
because
can I
if
ask
you're
you a
gonna
question?
presume that they are literally in some kind of physical location that orientates and relates to the shape of the Earth, then yeah, it does matter.
No, it
Because
doesn't.
Don't do that.
Rumpus.
We just
Geometry
know that
doesn't-
lights
The geometry doesn't
have
matter.
an angular relation in their apparent position
Geometry
to
doesn't
your
matter.
location on the Earth.
Rumpus,
That's
last
all.
chance.
That's all we know. That's real, honest data, confirmable data.
You don't understand trigonometry.
No, we
Rumpus, let me ask you a question.
that doesn't address his point. So, are you going to address Arwen's point?
Yes, he's absolutely wrong. You do not. I've looked at my diagram, and it shows how 3 observations of the moon or the sun cannot work on a flat plane.
That
as the
doesn't
other
address
guy
his
who was on here
point.
earlier was
Sorry,
saying.
do I need to reiterate his point to you? Do you not understand what he's just said?
Well, let me, Nathan, because it's the point I'm just
Well, no,
about
it's
to
Arwen's
address.
point. I want to know that Rumpus is either too stupid to understand Arwen's point, because at the moment he's not addressing it.
Well, Arwen's point's wrong.
Right, his point
What's-
is that
what
they're
is
not...
wrong
He
about
doesn't understand
You
trigonometry.
What
haven't
is wrong about
confirmed
it? What
their
is wrong
physicality.
If
about
you
it?
take 3 observations, you do not need them to be physical bodies. All they just need to be a
What
light.
is
You just
wrong
muttered
about
something
what
that just...
I
Hold on,
said?
hold on,
Well, it's
Arwen.
gibberish.
Hold on, Arwen. So, you've just given a hand wave dismissal to what Arwen has said very quickly and very quietly, and then moved on to your angles.
Well, all Arwen was saying was there are lights in the sky. Fine, the geometry is still the same. It doesn't make any difference. So his
well,
point's
no,
ridiculous.
that's
No,
not
that's
his
not what I
full
said.
point. So
No, that's not
you
what I
haven't.
said.
Hold on, Arwen. So you haven't understood his full point. Maybe if he repeats his point, you might understand the second part.
Okay, go ahead again.
You don't need to give him permission. This is my show.
When you say lights in the sky, that's not That's not like a candle light somewhere in a literal position. It's just an apparent light phenomena that has light coming from that direction.
You're just
for a
repeating
mistake.
yourself.
Rumpus, shut the hell up.
Let me have a go.
Rumpus,
Let me
you didn't
have a go with
address.
Rumpus.
You didn't address
He's
the
just repeating
hold on,
exactly the
hold
point that I
on.
just said it doesn't matter that they're lights.
Oh, so his point is
hand.
hand. So let's just get it clear. So the fact that you can't confirm it has a physical position is hand wave dismissal from Rumpus.
It does not matter whether they're lights or
Oh,
physical.
you don't need to repeat yourself. We've already heard you, Rumpus. So I'll just reassert Arwen's devastating point. You have no idea what it is or if it even has a physical location. Your hand wave dismissal does not in any way change Arwen's devastating point. So you can give it the hand wave dismissal all you like. Arwen wins. You
fighting
lose.
against trigonometry.
You have no
He's arguing
idea
maths.
what it is. If you keep rumpusing me,
Doesn't
I'll
make a
kick you
difference.
out. You have no
Certainly
idea
putting out light,
what
though,
it
isn't it?
is, or if it
putting out
even
light.
has a
Well,
physical.
I'm allowed to answer.
Right, bye, Rumpus.
You never let me answer, do you?
Come on,
You-
let,
you-
let
I
him
haven't
say
finished the
what he
sentence,
says.
and you're
You
just
never let me
repeating
answer.
yourself.
Just give him a farewell speech. So
Am I allowed to
Rumpus-
answer? Right, okay, I'm actually allowed to answer. My God. Right, it doesn't make any difference whether these things are physical entities or lights or whatever. They
Yes, it does. That's entirely Arwen's point. That's called a
Fighting
hand
against
wave
math.
dismissal. Hand wave dismissal again.
But it doesn't. The geometry doesn't change, Nathan. It doesn't matter what he thinks they are. The
It does matter because you don't know if it's a physical thing, like a
doesn't make any
rainbow.
difference. How many times do I have to
sorry,
say this? It
so
doesn't
if I-
make any difference.
Well, I'm going to give you an example of where it does make a difference. So, a rainbow. Can you get to
That's
the pot?
acting like a mirror.
Oh, am I not going to get to make my point, Rumpus?
Sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
Don't need to give me permission. I will just kick you out.
Well, you keep on interrupting.
Shut
me.
up. So, can you get to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow?
I can speak now, can I? Okay.
That's a direct
Right.
question.
Right, okay. A rainbow acts like a mirror, but the object you're actually looking through in a rainbow.
Can you get to the
does
pot of
actually have to-
gold?
Oh,
Can
you
you
just
get to the pot
interrupted
of
me.
gold at the end of the rainbow?
You just
If not,
interrupted
why
me,
not?
so you don't want to answer.
Can you get to the pot
Why
of
don't you
gold?
talk to me? Why don't you talk to me? I was the flatty who's now a glober.
Yeah, I know. Well, Nathan keeps interrupting me. I can't get a word more than
I will
four
kick you
words
out.
Right.
I just
in
want a simple
rainbow-
yes or
Oh
no.
my God.
Can you get to the pot
I'm
of
trying to
gold?
answer you, Nathan.
Can you get to the pot of gold?
Right. A rainbow is like a mirror because you're getting light reflected off the insides of the water molecules. So it acts just like a mirror. So just like you can't get close to the object depicting in the mirror, and the rainbow colors are actually bits of the sun. So as you move towards that, you're effectively moving towards the sun. So it's acting just like a mirror.
So what's the
But you can
sun?
still take measurements.
I
So
see.
you
That's
can't
very
get any
fascinating.
closer to
You're
it?
interrupting
So
me
what's
again.
Do you
the
get
sun?
any closer to it as you move towards the
So
sun?
we are
What
getting
is
closer
right?
to the
Not
sun.
very-
So when Arwen points out that he doesn't know where it physically is, and he says, Rumpus that is, it doesn't matter, now he's got us walking closer to a physical object. Haven't you,
I'm trying to
Rumpus?
explain this. Do you want me to explain? Right. So
Yeah,
when,
I'll say it again. You're just going to ignore the destruction of your argument. So you've now got us walking closer to a physical thing in comparison to the rainbow. So we can't get to the pot of gold, but we can get closer to the physical object that is the sun in this example. Right, Rumpus?
you can move towards the image in that the rainbow is reflecting, which is the sun.
Not
But
the
it's by,
rainbow, the sun. So we are getting closer to the sun, correct?
well, it's actually reflecting.
Well. I'll stutter my way around this devastating point, which is akin to Arwen's point you gave a hand wave
You're
dismissal
looking in the mirror,
to.
in effect.
So it's
You're
all right.
looking in a-
We can
you're
devastate
looking
your
in the
argument,
mirror.
Rumpus, while you rumpus us.
You-
We'll just
you-
point out that you're
Am I gonna
rumpusing
answer?
us
When can I answer?
while your point is being taken
When
to
can
pieces.
I answer?
When
Right.
people finish
When am I
talking.
allowed to answer?
Yeah, when people finish talking, we're taking
Okay, you
apart
finish
your
then, then
argument.
I'll
That doesn't
answer
mean you
that
talk
after.
over the destruction. You
Okay,
have to
you go
listen
ahead
to
and
it.
then I'll
If you
answer.
can't listen to it, you just get kicked out.
No, go
Simple.
on, go ahead and I'll answer.
Yeah, I've already destroyed it, but you've rumpused it. So no problem, Rumpus. I'll shut you up and point it out for the audience again, that you've got us getting closer to a physical object, even after giving Arwen's point the hand wave dismissal of not mattering, even though you need it to be in a physical location for this example.
Can I go now?
Do whatever
Right.
you like.
Oh my God. Right, am I allowed to go or not? Right, Great. Right. So
I didn't give you an
rainbow-
answer.
Oh my god! I'm being interrupted.
You
again.
didn't. Did you wait for an answer?
Oh
Did you
my
wait for an
goodness.
answer?
Can I talk?
I can't
Did you
much
wait
say
for an
more than
answer,
3
Rumpus?
words.
Did you wait for an answer?
Amazing.
Did you
You're
wait
so
for an
frightened
answer?
with what I'm going to say, Nathan.
Did
can't
you
allow
wait
more
for an
than 3
answer?
words.
Did you wait for an answer? Ask again.
Right. Can I go?
You have my permission.
Oh, right. Thank you, Nathan. Right. So, a rainbow is a collection of water molecules and raindrops that are reflecting something. So it's acting like a mirror. So when you actually walk towards the rainbow, you're actually walking away from the source of the object you're actually seeing, which is the sun. And the reason it's got colours, of course, is because of the dispersion of the different coloured rays, because they refract differently inside the in the raindrops. So as you walk towards the rainbow, you will find that the sun is behind you, and you'll be actually walking away from the object you're looking at. But it's acting like a mirror. So you are actually getting slightly closer, because as the sun, as we know, is 93 million miles away, you're actually walking away from it.
No, we
But
don't know that.
the trigonometry.
Sorry, we don't know
I
that.
haven't quite finished. 10
We
more
don't
seconds.
know
You're
that.
walking closer
Oh my
to the
God.
reflector.
We don't know that. We don't
Can
know
I
that the
respond?
sun is a
No,
fixed
I-
distance. You just gave a hand wave dismissal to its
No,
physical
hold
location.
on. No, he's misconstruing it.
No, you
Because-
don't.
no, hold on. No, I
can interrupt me,
recognize what you
Carl.
said. Oh, can I please? I recognize what you said.
Okay, go
But
ahead.
what you basically say, what you're saying is you get closer to the reflector. But
Correct.
Yes, I know. But the reflector is not actually in direct location-wise as you observe it.
That's
Where the
gibberish.
ray,
You say
where
we all
you
know the
appear-
sun is 93 million miles away. I don't know that.
Dude, where you see the rainbow, the apparent image of the rainbow, where you think it is intuitively because of how it appears to your sight, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about the reflector.
That's what the rainbow is. It's a reflection in raindrops that are in front of you in the sun. You always find it
Right.
behind
It
you.
causes an apparent image, doesn't it?
Like a mirror, yes.
A light image, yes.
A mirror,
Okay.
yes.
Well, now that is, in all honesty, what correlates the most with the observations of the heavenly bodies
No, it doesn't.
that we have,
No.
because they are inapproachable.
No,
They
they're
seem
not.
to always
You can
be
bounce
in an
radar off
apparent
the sun.
position in
Rumpus,
relation
you
to the
just
observer,
rumpusing
no
him.
matter where you are.
Just
And you can
rumpusing him,
Bounce
approach it.
Rumpus.
radar off the sun and detect it directly.
Oh,
Can
that's
I talk?
interesting.
Right.
Anyway, so Anthony keeps on trying to ask me a question, and before I get kicked out, I'd like to answer. I know that I get kicked
Radar
out.
off the sun. That's
could bounce
amazing.
Oh, yeah,
radar
I
off the
want
sun,
to
yeah.
go back to radar and go to job all back. That's something there. That'd be really interesting for them.
Sorry, someone asked me a question.
I didn't understand any of what he just said.
No,
then.
I didn't hear it. It's a bit muffled.
Can I talk since I'm the one that's converting back to globe now? Don't you want to hear my story about how I converted back?
Not really.
Not really. I'd like to
Rumpus
see
has
the
just
evidence.
asserted that you can measure the distance to the sun.
Angles, shadows. It's pretty simple. It's right in our faces all the time. I mean, the
Sorry,
sun goes over something
mate
called the
four.
horizon.
Rumpus has
You
just
know the sun
asserted
is
he can
93
measure the
million
distance
miles
to the
away
sun.
because the Rumpus say we all know
No,
the sun
you
is
can-
93 million
you can-
miles away.
You can see eventually if you look into Eratosthenes and how it's all done and how he calculates the angles and then the distances.
Yeah, we ripped
Like
this a
you
new
can-
one. You need
Oh,
R.
Eratosthenes, the guy
Sorry,
that there's
hold
no
on.
proof
Stop.
ever existed.
You're circle jerking us around. Right, Rumpus has just said he can actually
Buckets.
measure the distance to the sun. We've already said you need to assume R. That's where this got played
Which
over
you
and
can
over again.
measure through
Assuming
angles.
a sphere, mate 4. If you can't pay attention to what's happening, don't just reassert your nonsense. We've taken it apart already. So, Rumpus, you claim you can measure the distance to the sun.
Sorry, what's the question?
You made an assertion. You
Yes, I
it'd
did.
been
Yeah,
me-
93 million miles, and you can bounce radar off the sun. Yes, and you can do it via the Cassini method. Yeah.
Oh, so you're not from the Earth.
Hold
You're
on,
gonna do
hold
it
on,
from the
Arwin.
satellite, are you?
Arwin. This is Anthony's baby. Please, I'm trying to lead Rumpus into Anthony. Just give him a chance. We've got about 5 minutes left.
Well, I wasn't going to talk about Cassini or the distance of the sun. I was going to talk about, you know, this gravity when we were talking about the pink ball with the spring underneath it.
Oh yeah, I've got the diagram here. Yeah, here is the diagram. Yeah, this one here. Yeah.
Could you open up a fresh page and then just put your ball, like suspended in the sky?
Okay, so you want me to
Go to this.
Start a new page. Yeah, just copy. your...
Okay, so you want me to? Okay, let me just copy them. Let me just copy bits of this. Okay, so you'll start a new page. I'll do it.
The there's clearly going to be some fiddling and finagling, so I might actually use this as an opportunity to take a little break, and then you can start.
Yeah,
this
just
on
take the
next
break
show.
now while we set it up, and then
Exactly,
we'll come back to it
exactly.
at the start of the next show.
Precisely. So yes, with that, I will say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, I'm sure you know exactly what to do. Probably done it already. But if you liked it, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!